After all, he also has a certain affection for Wendy, and men have a monopoly on the things they like. But when he thought that Wendy was given to him by Fredman after all, now he needs a woman to accompany him to try the effects of the medicine. There is nothing wrong with returning Wendy to him for the time being, so he can only agree, since Fredman has spoken. Now, my brother, naturally I won't have anything to say. Fredman nodded in satisfaction and immediately said to Wendy, "Wendy, you come back to Wilson's house with me." Wendy hurriedly said, "Okay Fredman, or let's go back now." "Don't you wait for?" Fredman remembered something, and hurriedly turned around and asked Yang Jung-wei, "By the way, I only feel feverish now. How long will it take to fully recover?" Yang Jung-wei hurriedly said, "It is estimated that the effect of the medicine has not yet come up. You must first repair the damaged part. Only after the repair will you regain your glory, but I estimate that after half an hour to an hour, no matter what, you can stand tall." Fredman said excitedly, "If this is the case, then the time is rushed, so Wilson will not bother you, and leave first." After speaking, he immediately left Yang Jung-wei's house with Wendy. When he was in the car, Fredman was already a little uncontrollable. While driving, he fidgeted and said, "The heat is getting stronger and stronger, but it seems that it hasn't reached that place yet." Wendy hurriedly said, "Didn't the Wei family's patriarch say that the medicine must be repaired before it can work there?" "Ha ha ha." Fredman said excitedly, "It's like the game you young people play. The enemy has 5 seconds to reach the battlefield." Wendy smiled and said, "Fredman, how long will you get to the battlefield?" Fredman smiled and said, "I guess it will be another half an hour. How come it should be there?" Ha 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 ha. Having said that, Fredman stretched out his arms around Wendy's waist and said seriously, "Wendy, after I am completely healed, you should follow me. As long as you take care of me, I will protect you for the rest of your life and you will enjoy it." Wendy said with a charming expression, "Wendy will definitely take care of you." Fredman nodded, and then said in a vicious voice, "That Charlie, this bastard made me almost unable to be a man. I definitely can't let him go. This time I planted myself in Charlie's hands in Orus Hill. I don't know how many times. Not only the roots were destroyed, but I also had to call him Grandpa several times." It can be said that his Fredman's face was lost on Charlie. After you get better, you don't need to be afraid of Charlie, and you don't need to be afraid of Tianqi, just find an opportunity to kill them both. That Tianqi is also very farking hate, he didn't give it to him, and threatened him with his mother, darn it. Soon, Fredman drove back to Wilson's house. After the two got off the car, they passed through the living room and went straight to the guest room on the second floor. The old Mrs. Wilson was drinking tea in the lobby. When Fredman was pulling Wendy back, the two hurried upstairs and couldn't help asking Noah Wilson next to her, "Fredman has his hidden illness cured?" "I don't know either." Noah Wilson said, "Since the monkey went back to the room so anxiously, it feels like there is improvement." The old Mrs. Wilson smiled and nodded, and said, "Okay, okay. Fredman can regain his power, and Wendy can follow him again. Our Wilson Group's follow-up investment of $70 million is another show." With that said, the old Mrs. Wilson hurriedly said to Noah Wilson, Go to their door and listen to see if Fredman has really recovered. If he has, I will talk to Fredman tomorrow morning. About the investment thing." Noah Wilson said embarrassingly, "Mom, Wendy is my daughter. I'll go to her door to eavesdrop. This is not appropriate." Old Mrs. Wilson glared at him and said, "Can't you tell the most important thing about the useless things? At this time, the most important thing is whether Fredman has recovered or not." Noah Wilson's wife Horiah nodded quickly and said, "Mom is right. At this time, Fredman's situation is the most important thing. If you are embarrassed to eavesdrop, then I will go." Mrs. Wilson looked at Horiah approvingly, and said, "Horiah is still courageous in doing things. In our family, women are always better than your dad. I do things better than your dad, and you do things better than usual. Claire, that unfilial granddaughter who turned her elbow out, is also a bit better than Harold in doing things.